Hi, everyone. Quick one for you. Make sure you subscribe and like before we start. Thank you. Lana's smile greets me as the first light of morning filters through our bedroom window. It's that smile that always makes me feel like the luckiest man alive. She's beautiful, her blonde hair tousled, her blue eyes still a little sleepy. I lean in to kiss her, and she wraps her arms around me, pulling me close. I love these moments. Just the two of us. No distractions, no worries. I drink in her scent, that familiar mix of vanilla and something uniquely her. We've been married for 8 years, and I can honestly say I've never loved her more. I'm an architect, and while the job can be demanding, Lana has always been my rock. She's the one who keeps our home running smoothly, who supports me when the stress gets too much. We live in a comfortable house in a quiet suburb, surrounded by friends who envy our relationship. To them, we're the perfect couple. To me, Lana is everything. We've built a life together, a solid one. Our friends, mostly couples we've known for years, look up to us. They come to us for advice on their own relationships, asking how we keep things fresh, how we manage to stay so in love. I always tell them it's because of Lana. She's the reason. She's patient, understanding, and always knows how to make me feel better after a tough day. But lately I've noticed little changes. Nothing major, just small things. She's been more distracted, sometimes lost in thought when she thinks I'm not watching. She smiles less, and when she does, it doesn't always reach her eyes. I've asked if something's bothering her, but she always shakes her head, giving me that same reassuring smile. Just work, she says. It's nothing really. I want to believe her. I need to believe her. So I push the doubts away, telling myself that everyone goes through phases. We're strong, and we've been through worse. But as I kiss her goodbye and head to work, a nagging feeling tugs at the back of my mind. It's a feeling I can't quite shake, even as I immerse myself in blueprints and designs. That evening, everything changes. I'm going through emails on my phone when a new message pops up from an unknown sender. My heart skips a beat as I open it. The message is short, just a few words, but they hit me like a punch to the gut. Lana's hiding something from you. My hand trembles as I read it again, trying to make sense of it. Who would send this? And why? I look over at Lana sitting on the couch reading a book. She seems so calm, so content. But now I can't help but wonder. What if there's something she's not telling me? The doubt I've been trying to ignore crashes over me like a wave, and I know in that moment that nothing will ever be the same. The message won't leave my mind. I stare at it, reading and rereading those few words. Lana's hiding something from you. It could be a prank, some sick joke, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels like a warning. My heart pounds as I think about it. Why would someone send this? Who could it be? I can't just ignore it, but the idea of confronting Lana, of accusing her of something I don't even understand yet, makes me sick. At dinner, I try to act normal, but it's hard. I watch Lana, studying every move she makes. She's calm, laughing at something on TV, and completely unaware of the storm brewing inside me. I have to know. I can't live with this doubt eating away at me. I decide to bring it up carefully without sounding crazy. Lana, I say, my voice steady but my pulse racing. I got this weird message today. She looks up, her fork pausing midair. What kind of message? I show her the phone, watching her face closely. She reads it, her expression unchanged, and then she laughs, a light, dismissive sound that somehow feels wrong. Someone's messing with you, babe. Probably one of your friends being stupid. Maybe, I say, but the doubt doesn't go away. You're sure you don't know anything about this? She puts her fork down, reaching across the table to take my hand. Her touch is warm, familiar, but it doesn't calm me the way it usually does. Of course not. You know I'd never hide anything from you. I want to believe her, I really do. But something in the way she says it, too quickly, too casually, keeps the doubt alive. Yeah, you're probably right, I say, forcing a smile. Just someone trying to mess with me. But that night, as I lie in bed next to her, I can't sleep. Every little noise she makes, every shift in her breathing feels like a clue I need to decipher. What if the message is true? What if she's hiding something? The thoughts swirl in my head, driving me crazy. I decide that I need to find out for myself. I can't confront her again, not without more information. The next day at work, I'm distracted, barely able to focus on the designs in front of me. I keep glancing at my phone, checking if there are any more messages, but there's nothing. Just that one, taunting me. I start to think about her phone. I'm just saying, I've never gone through it before, never felt the need to, but now the idea is all I can think about. I know her password, and the thought of it sitting there within reach drives me insane. When I get home, Lana is in the shower. My heart pounds as I pick up her phone from the nightstand. My hands are shaking, and I almost drop it. I feel like I'm crossing a line, but I can't stop myself. I unlock it, quickly scrolling through her messages, emails, anything that might give me a clue. Nothing. Just the usual chatter with her friends, work emails, and reminders for appointments. I breathe a sigh of relief, feeling foolish for letting the message get to me. Maybe she's right. Maybe it was just someone messing with me. But then something catches my eye, a message, buried in a chain of texts with a coworker named Eric. It's not explicit, nothing that screams affair, but it's odd. The tone is different, more intimate. Had a great time last night. Thanks for the talk. What about some of them? All night, my stomach churns as I stare at it. Why would she be having a late-night talk with another man? And why didn't she mention it? I hear the water stop, and I quickly put the phone back, trying to act normal. But my mind is racing. Is this what the message was about? Is this the secret she's hiding? I need to know more, but I can't just accuse her out of nowhere. I need proof. I need to be sure. Over the next few days, I start watching her more closely. I look for excuses to check her phone whenever I can, but she's careful. If there's something going on, she's not making it easy to find. The more I look, the more obsessed I become. I start following her when she says she's going out with friends, just to see if she's really where she says she is. It makes me feel dirty, like I'm the one betraying her. But I can't stop. I need to know. One night, she tells me she's meeting a friend for dinner. I smile, tell her to have fun, but inside I'm already planning. As soon as she leaves, I grab my keys and follow her. I keep a safe distance, my heart racing the whole time. She drives downtown, parking in front of a small, upscale restaurant. I watch as she gets out, looking stunning in a tight black dress that hugs her curves in all the right places. My stomach twists with a mix of desire and dread. Then I see him, Eric. He walks up to her and they hug a little too long, a little too close. I feel like I'm going to be sick. I want to charge out of the car, confront them right there, but I force myself to stay put. I need to see what happens next. They go inside and I wait, my mind racing with all the possibilities. After about an hour, they come out. They're laughing, talking closely, and then he leans in and kisses her on the cheek. It's not an innocent peck. It lingers, his hand resting on her waist. She doesn't pull away. In fact, she smiles up at him, that same beautiful smile she used to give me. I can't breathe. My hands are gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turn white. I watch as they say goodbye. Lana getting back into her car, Eric walking away. I'm paralyzed, unable to move, unable to think. This is it. This is what she's been hiding. The message was right. When she gets home, I'm sitting on the couch waiting. She walks in, still glowing from her evening out, but her smile fades when she sees me. Hey, she says, a hint of nervousness in her voice. You okay? I don't answer right away, just stare at her, trying to hold back the anger, the betrayal, the pain. How was dinner? I finally ask, my voice cold. She hesitates, and that hesitation is all I need. It was good, she says, but her eyes are darting around, not meeting mine. With Eric? I ask, the name dripping with venom. Her face pales, and she knows. She knows I've figured it out. It's not what you think, she starts, but I cut her off, standing up so fast the room spins. Then what is it, Lana? What exactly have you been doing with him? I'm yelling now, all the frustration, all the hurt pouring out of me. She steps back, her eyes wide with fear, or maybe guilt. It's just, it was just a mistake, okay? I needed someone to talk to, someone who wasn't you. Her words hit me like a slap. So you talk to him? You go out with him? You let him touch you? I'm shaking, barely able to control the rage boiling inside me. It wasn't like that, she shouts back, tears in her eyes now. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was just physical. It didn't mean anything, but it does. It means everything. My world shatters in that moment. All the trust, all the love I had for her crumbling into nothing. I stare at her, the woman I thought I knew, the woman I've loved for so long, and I see a stranger. Get out, I say, my voice low and dangerous. Just get out. She tries to say something, to explain, to justify, but I don't want to hear it. I can't. I watch as she grabs her things, sobbing, and walks out the door, leaving me alone in the silence of our home. I collapse onto the couch, the reality of what just happened sinking in. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted more than anything, betrayed me. She chose someone else, even if it was just for a moment. The pain is unbearable, ripping through me like a knife. But underneath it all, there's something else, something dark, something that's been building inside me ever since I got that message. Anger. Pure, unrelenting anger. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. The days after Lana's confession blur into a haze of anger and confusion. I can't think straight, can't focus on anything but the image of her with him, Eric. The way she looked at him, the way she let him touch her. It plays in my mind on a loop, driving me to the edge. I'm desperate to fix things, to salvage what's left of our marriage, but every time I try to talk to her, it ends in a fight. The tension between us is unbearable. I suggest therapy, thinking that maybe, just maybe, we can work through this. But Lana is distant, her eyes cold and unreadable. I don't see the point, she says one night, her voice flat. What's the point of dragging this out? We're broken, and I don't think therapy can fix that. Her words cut deep, but I refuse to give up. I suggest changes, more date nights, more time together, anything to bring us back to what we were. She agrees, but there's no real effort on her part. Every dinner feels forced, every conversation strained. I can't stop picturing her with him, and it eats away at me. The image of them together is burned into my mind, a constant reminder of her betrayal. My obsession with the affair grows. I start checking her phone again, but she's more careful now, leaving nothing for me to find. I can't shake the feeling that she's still seeing him, that she's lying to me every time she leaves the house. I start following her again, desperate to catch her in the act, to prove that my suspicions are right. It's pathetic, I know. I've become a man I don't recognize. Paranoid, obsessive, consumed by jealousy. I isolate myself from our friends, avoiding their questions about why Lana and I seem so distant. I can't bear to admit the truth, that our perfect marriage is falling apart, that the woman I loved more than anything has betrayed me. My work suffers. I can't focus on designs, can't muster the creativity that used to come so easily. My boss notices, pulling me aside one day to ask if everything's okay. I lie, tell him it's just stress, but the truth is I'm losing control. My emotions are all over the place. One minute I'm furious, the next I'm drowning in sadness. I start drinking more, trying to numb the pain, but it only makes things worse. One night, after another failed attempt at reconnecting with Lana, I finally snap. I can't take it anymore. I need to know the truth, need to confront the man who's come between us. I find his number in her phone and call him, my hands trembling with rage. Eric, I say when he answers, my voice low and dangerous. We need to talk. He's quiet for a moment, then he sighs. Look, I don't want any trouble. Well, you've got it, I snap. Meet me at the bar on 7th. We settle this tonight. I hang up before he can respond, my heart pounding in my chest. I don't know what I'm going to do when I see him, but I know I can't keep living like this. I can't keep letting him haunt me. At the bar, I wait, nursing a drink to steady my nerves. When Eric finally walks in, I feel a surge of anger. He's just as I imagined, tall, good-looking, the kind of guy who probably thinks he can take whatever he wants without consequences. He spots me and walks over, his expression wary. "Let's make this quick," he says, sitting down across from me. I glare at him, trying to keep my voice steady. "You ruined my marriage." He looks at me, then shakes his head. "Lana's the one who came to me. I never forced her into anything." His words ignite a fire inside me. "You could have said no. You could have walked away." "I know," he admits, his voice softer now. "But she was unhappy, man. She needed someone to talk to, someone who listened." "Someone who wasn't me," I say bitterly. He doesn't deny it, and that's what pushes me over the edge. I can't control the rage anymore. I stand up, knocking my chair over as I lunge at him. My fist connects with his jaw, sending him stumbling back. He tries to defend himself, but I'm too far gone, swinging at him with everything I have. All the pain, all the betrayal pours out of me in a flurry of punches. It's only when I feel someone pulling me back that I realize what I've done. The bartender and a couple of patrons are holding me, trying to calm me down. Eric is on the floor, blood dripping from his nose, his eyes wide with shock. "Get out of here," the bartender yells at me. "Before I call the cops," I'm shaking, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I look down at Eric, at the mess I've made, and for a moment I feel nothing but emptiness. Then the fear sets in. What have I done? Without another word, I turn and run out of the bar, my heart pounding with the realization that I've crossed a line I can't uncross. When I get home, I'm still shaking. I've lost control, completely and utterly, and now I have to face the consequences. I pace the living room, trying to figure out what to do next. Lana will find out. Everyone will find out. My career, my reputation, everything is at risk. I don't sleep that night. I keep expecting the cops to show up, waiting for the knock on the door that will signal the end of everything. But the night passes in silence, the darkness suffocating me with guilt and fear. The next morning, I get a call from Eric. My hand trembles as I answer, bracing myself for the worst. "Listen," he says, his voice strained. "I'm not pressing charges, okay? But you need to stay the hell away from me." And from Lana, his words catch me off guard. "You're not. Why?" "Because I don't want this to get any uglier than it already is," he says. "But I mean it. If you come near me again, I'll make sure you pay for it." I hang up, relief flooding through me, but it's short-lived. Eric might not be pressing charges, but the damage is done. Lana finds out later that day when Eric calls her, and the confrontation that follows is worse than anything I could have imagined. "You attacked him?" she screams, her eyes wild with anger. "What the hell is wrong with you?" "I had to do something," I shout back, my voice breaking. "I had to make him pay for what he did to us." "There is no us anymore," she yells, tears streaming down her face. "You've destroyed everything." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I stand there stunned as she grabs a suitcase and starts throwing her clothes into it. "What are you doing?" I ask, panic rising in my chest. "I'm leaving," she says, her voice cold. "I can't do this anymore." "Lana, please," I beg, reaching out to her, but she pulls away, her eyes filled with contempt. "You've become someone I don't even recognize," she says. "I need to get away from you before you destroy me, too." I watch, helpless, as she packs the rest of her things and walks out the door, slamming it behind her. The silence that follows is deafening. I'm alone, truly alone, and the realization is like a weight crushing my chest. I've lost her. I've lost everything. The days that follow are a blur. I go through the motions, trying to focus on work, but it's impossible. I'm haunted by the memory of that night, of the fight, of Lana walking out on me. I start drinking more, trying to drown out the pain, but it only makes things worse. I can't stop thinking about her, about what she said. She's right, I've become someone I don't recognize. The man who attacked Eric, who let his jealousy and anger take over, isn't the man I want to be. But I don't know how to go back, don't know how to fix what I've broken. One night, after too many drinks, I decide to confront Eric one last time. I need closure. Need to understand why Lana chose him over me. I find out where he lives and drive there, my mind clouded with alcohol and desperation. When I arrive, I see his car in the driveway, and something snaps inside me. I stumble out of the car, my heart pounding as I walk up to the door and start banging on it. "Eric!" I shout, my voice slurred. "Open the damn door!" There's no answer, but I keep banging, the rage building inside me. Finally, the door opens, but it's not Eric standing there, it's Lana. She looks at me with a mixture of pity and disgust. "Go home," she says, her voice cold. "You don't belong here." "I just need to talk to him," I plead, my voice breaking. "I need to understand." "There's nothing to understand," she says, stepping outside and closing the door behind her. "You need to let this go." "But I can't," I whisper, tears streaming down my face. "I can't let you go." She looks at me, her expression softening for just a moment, and then she shakes her head. "You already have," she says quietly. "Now go home, please." I stand there staring at her, my heart breaking all over again. Then, without another word, I turn and walk away, the reality of my situation finally sinking in. Lana is gone. Our marriage is over, and I have no one to blame but myself. The moment I step into the courtroom, I feel the weight of my mistakes bearing down on me. The air is thick with tension, the kind that suffocates you, makes it hard to breathe. I glance at the rows of people seated behind me, their eyes piercing into my back. Whispers ripple through the room as I take my place next to my lawyer. The man I attacked, Eric, sits across from me, a cold expression on his face. I feel the anger rising again, but I push it down. Now isn't the time. Lana is nowhere to be seen. She hasn't spoken to me since that night, hasn't returned my calls or texts. I try not to think about where she is or who she's with. I need to focus on what's in front of me, on surviving this trial. The judge calls the court to order, and the proceedings begin. My lawyer argues that I acted out of character, that the stress of discovering my wife's affair pushed me to a breaking point. But as the prosecution lays out their case, detailing my attack on Eric with cold precision, I realize how bad this looks. I feel exposed, vulnerable. Every word they say feels like a dagger in my chest. Then Eric takes the stand. He's calm, composed, a far cry from the man I beat to a pulp in that bar. He describes the attack in detail, his voice steady, unwavering. He even manages to sound sympathetic, like he understands why I did it, but that only makes it worse. He paints me as a man out of control, consumed by jealousy and rage. And the worst part is, he's not wrong. As he speaks, I catch a glimpse of Lana entering the courtroom. She looks stunning, as always, but there's a coldness in her eyes that wasn't there before. She sits down without acknowledging me, her gaze fixed on Eric. My heart sinks. She's here for him, not for me. She's already chosen sides. When it's my turn to testify, I feel the weight of everyone's expectations pressing down on me. My lawyer has prepped me for this, told me to stay calm, to show remorse. But as I take the stand, all I can think about is Lana. The way she looked at him, the way she's not looking at me now. I start to speak, my voice trembling. I talk about the pain of discovering her betrayal, how it drove me to do something I never thought I was capable of. But as I talk, I see Lana's expression harden. She's not moved by my words. If anything, she seems even more distant. I realize in that moment that no matter what I say, it won't change anything. I've lost her, and I might lose everything else too. The trial drags on, each day a blur of testimonies and arguments. The tension in the courtroom is palpable, and I can feel myself unraveling a little more with each passing hour. The prosecutor brings up more details about my behavior after discovering the affair, how I became obsessed, how I started following Lana, spying on her. They paint a picture of a man who lost control, who let his jealousy and paranoia drive him to violence. And again, they're not wrong, but then something unexpected happens. During cross-examination, my lawyer manages to get Eric to slip up. He admits, almost casually, that he and Lana had been seeing each other for months before I found out. that they'd been careful but not careful enough, that he knew she was unhappy in our marriage, and that he was just giving her what she needed. His words hang in the air like poison, and I see the jury's expression shift. For the first time, they see him not as the victim, but as someone who played a part in all of this. My lawyer seizes the moment, hammering home the point that while my actions were wrong, they were driven by a deep sense of betrayal and hurt. He argues that I'm not a violent man by nature, but that I was pushed to my breaking point by the actions of those I trusted most. When the prosecution rests, I feel a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, the jury will see that I'm not a monster, that I was a man broken by the woman I loved and the man she chose over me. But as the judge gives the jury their instructions and they file out to deliberate, that hope quickly fades. All I can do now is wait. The hours drag on, each one feeling like an eternity. My lawyer tries to reassure me, telling me that the longer the jury is out, the better it is for us. But I can't shake the feeling that it's all slipping away from me. That no matter what happens in that jury room, my life as I knew it is over. Finally, the jury returns. My heart pounds in my chest as the foreman stands and reads the verdict. Guilty of aggravated assault. The words hit me like a physical blow. I feel the room spinning around me, the air thick and suffocating. I'm going to jail. I've lost everything. As the judge announces my sentence, 2 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after one, I feel numb. I barely register the words. I'm led away in handcuffs, my mind a blur of regret and despair. I catch one last glimpse of Lana as I'm escorted out. She's sitting there, still not looking at me, her expression unreadable. It's over. In the days that follow, I try to come to terms with what's happened. The prison cell is cold, sterile, a stark contrast to the life I once had. I spend most of my time alone, replaying the events that led me here, trying to make sense of it all. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that there's nothing to make sense of. I let my emotions get the better of me. I let my jealousy and anger destroy everything. Then one day I receive a letter from my lawyer. It's not from him, but from Lana. My hands shake as I open it, unsure of what to expect. The letter is brief, almost clinical. She explains that she's filing for divorce, that she's moving on with her life. She wishes me well, hopes that I'll find peace and that I'll be able to move on too. The words are like a punch to the gut. I knew this was coming, but seeing it in writing makes it real. She's really gone. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with, is gone, and I have no one to blame but myself. As the weeks turn into months, I try to adjust to my new reality. I keep to myself in prison, avoiding trouble, trying to keep my head down. But the anger is still there, simmering beneath the surface. I think about Eric, about how he's out there, living his life, probably with Lana by his side. The thought of it makes my blood boil. But then I remember the trial. The way the jury looked at him when he admitted to the affair, the way they saw him for what he really was, a man who took advantage of a broken woman and pushed her husband to the edge. I hold on to that, using it to keep the anger in check. I tell myself that they'll get what's coming to them. Maybe not now, maybe not in the way I wanted, but eventually. Karma has a way of catching up to people. One day I'm in the prison yard when another inmate approaches me. He's been here longer than I have, a lifer who knows the ins and outs of this place. He sits down next to me, lighting a cigarette. Word around here is you're in for beating the hell out of some guy who was screwing your wife, he says, his voice rough from years of smoking. I nod, not really wanting to talk about it, but knowing I don't have much choice. You should have killed him, he says bluntly. Would have been worth the extra time. I look at him, surprised by the casual way he says it. But then I realize that in here, that kind of talk is normal. Life is cheap and grudges are deadly. I thought about it, I admit quietly. He nods, taking a drag on his cigarette. You'll get out of here eventually, he says, but don't think this place will leave you. Once you've been inside, it changes you, makes you see things differently. He's right, I can already feel it happening. The way I look at the world, at people, is different now. The man I was before, the man who loved Lana, who trusted her, is gone. In his place is someone harder, colder, someone who knows that trust is a weakness that can be exploited. When I get back to my cell, I lie on the cot, staring up at the ceiling. The trial, the betrayal, the prison, they've all stripped me down to nothing, leaving me with only the raw, painful truth. I've lost everything I cared about, and now I have to figure out how to live with what's left. But as I close my eyes, I feel a flicker of something I haven't felt in a long time. Resolve. I've been through hell, but I'm still here. I survived. And if I can get through this, I can get through anything. I'm not done yet, not by a long shot. In the weeks that follow my sentencing, the reality of my situation starts to sink in. I'm stuck in this cell, the walls closing in on me a little more each day. But the anger that once consumed me starts to change, morphing into something else. Determination. I can't let this be the end. I've already lost everything that mattered, but I'm not going to lose myself. Not to this place and not to the memories of what Lana did. I spend my days planning, thinking about how I can turn this around. My mind fixates on the trial, on how things could have been different if I had more information, more leverage. I start obsessing over Lana's past, the parts of her life she kept hidden from me. There's no way that affair with Eric was her first. I know there's more, and I need to find out what. With nothing but time on my hands, I dive into every scrap of information I can get. I write letters, make phone calls, and beg my lawyer to dig deeper. I need to understand why she did this, why she betrayed me, and who else might be involved. My lawyer isn't thrilled about it. He thinks I'm grasping at straws. But I push him, harder than I ever have before. He finally relents, agreeing to look into Lana's past relationships, her finances, anything that might shed light on the person she really is. As the days crawl by, I wait for answers. Each letter from my lawyer brings a mix of dread and anticipation. I pore over the details, dissecting every piece of information he uncovers. Little by little, a picture starts to form. It turns out Lana wasn't just involved with Eric. There were others, men I never knew about, men she kept hidden from me. My mind reels as I try to process it all. How could I have been so blind? How could I have missed all the signs? One name stands out, a man Lana was seeing before we even met. He's wealthy, connected, someone who could have easily covered up their affair. My lawyer tracks him down, and what he finds sends a chill down my spine. This man, let's call him Mark, isn't just some fling. He's someone Lana stayed in touch with over the years. Someone who could have influenced her decisions, even her feelings for me. The thought makes my blood boil. But as much as I want to confront her, I know I have to be smart about this. I need proof, something concrete that I can use in court. I need to show that Lana's actions weren't just a moment of weakness, but part of a pattern, a web of deceit that she's been spinning for years. My lawyer and I work tirelessly, gathering evidence, connecting the dots. The more we uncover, the more it becomes clear that Lana's betrayal wasn't just a one-time thing. It was calculated, deliberate. As we prepare for a possible appeal, I feel the weight of everything that's happened pressing down on me. The trial, the betrayal, the prison, it's all taken a toll on me, both physically and mentally. I'm not the same person I was before all this started. I've been broken down, stripped of everything that once mattered to me. But in that brokenness, I've found a new resolve, a determination to see this through to the end. Finally, after months of waiting, the day of the hearing arrives. My lawyer believes we have a strong case, enough to at least reduce my sentence, maybe even get it overturned. I can't afford to hope too much, but it's there, a small flicker that keeps me going. The courtroom feels different this time, less intimidating, more like a battleground where I know the terrain. I've been here before, and I'm ready. Lana is there too, sitting with her lawyer, looking as composed as ever. But I can see it now, the cracks in her facade, the way her eyes dart nervously around the room. She's worried, and she should be. When it's my turn to speak, I don't hold back. I lay it all out, the lies, the affairs, the way she manipulated me and used my trust against me. I show the evidence we've gathered, the connections to Mark, the pattern of deceit that stretches back years. My lawyer argues that Lana's actions played a significant role in my mental state, that they pushed me to the breaking point. It's not an excuse for what I did, but it's the truth. As I speak, I can see the jury listening, really listening this time. They're seeing the full picture, not just the version that was presented in the first trial. I look over at Lana, and for the first time, I see fear in her eyes. She knows she can't hide anymore, that the truth is finally coming out. The hearing drags on, but I feel a sense of calm, a certainty that wasn't there before. I've done everything I can. I've fought with everything I have left, and now it's out of my hands. When the judge finally speaks, his words feel like a distant echo. My sentence is reduced, the charges reevaluated in light of the new evidence. It's not a complete victory, but it's enough. I'll be out of here sooner than I thought, with a chance to rebuild my life. As I'm led out of the courtroom, I catch one last look at Lana. She's pale, shaken, her perfect composure shattered. I don't feel satisfaction, just a deep sense of closure. I know now that the woman I loved never really existed. She was a mirage, something I wanted so badly to believe in that I ignored all the warning signs. Back in my cell, I start to plan for what comes next. I've been given a second chance, a chance to start over. It won't be easy. Nothing about this has been easy, but I'm ready for it. I've survived the worst, and now I need to figure out who I am without Lana, without the life I once thought was perfect. My relationship with Lana is beyond repair, but in the quiet moments, I find myself thinking about what I've learned. Trust isn't something I can give away so easily anymore. It's something that has to be earned, something I'll be much more careful with in the future. But even as I try to look forward, there's a part of me that can't let go of the past completely. The betrayal, the lies, they've left scars that won't heal overnight. I know I'll carry them with me, a reminder of what happens when you let your guard down, when you trust too much. As the days turn into weeks, I begin to feel a shift inside me. The anger that once consumed me starts to fade, replaced by something else. Acceptance, maybe, or maybe just exhaustion. I'm tired of being angry, tired of letting Lana control my thoughts, even from a distance. It's time to let go, to move on. When I'm finally released, the world feels different. The air is fresher, the sun warmer, but I'm different too. I walk out of those prison gates a changed man, someone who's seen the darkness and come out the other side. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I'm not going to make the same mistakes again. The first thing I do is head to the small apartment my lawyer helped me secure. It's nothing like the home I once shared with Lana, but it's mine, and that's enough for now. I sit on the couch, staring at the blank walls, and for the first time in a long time, I feel a sense of peace. I'm not naive. I know there will be challenges ahead. But I also know that I'm stronger now, more aware of who I am and what I want. I've been through hell, but I'm still standing, and that's something. As I settle into my new life, I start to rebuild. It's slow, painful at times, but it's real. I reconnect with old friends, people I pushed away during my obsession with Lana. I find work, simple at first, but it's a start. Each day, I take another step forward, away from the past and towards something better. The scars are still there, of course. I see them every time I look in the mirror, every time I think about what could have been, but they don't define me. Not anymore. In the quiet moments when I'm alone with my thoughts, I think about Lana, about everything we went through. There's no going back, no fixing what was broken. But I've made peace with that. I've made peace with the fact that some things are beyond repair. And that's okay. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm ready to face it. I'm ready to start over, to build something new from the ashes of the life I once had. And for the first time in a long time, I feel hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, I'll find happiness again. The journey ahead won't be easy, but I'm ready for it. I'm ready to move on, to leave the past behind and embrace whatever comes next. And as I take that first step, I know that no matter what happens, I'm not going to let anything or anyone break me again. The final confrontation with Lana feels inevitable. The moment I'm released, I know I have to see her, to finally lay everything bare. It's not about revenge anymore, or even closure. It's about understanding, about putting all the pieces together before I can truly move on. I track her down easily enough. She's still in the city, living in a small condo she rented after everything fell apart. When I arrive, the building feels too familiar, like a place I might have visited in another life. My heart pounds as I approach her door, the tension coiled tight in my chest. I've imagined this conversation 1,000 times, but now that it's here, I don't know how it will go. I knock, and after a few moments, the door opens. Lana stands there, her face a mixture of shock and something else. Fear, maybe. She's dressed simply, jeans and a sweater. But she's still as beautiful as ever, that same beauty that once blinded me. "Can we talk?" I ask, my voice steady but my hands trembling. She hesitates, glancing behind her as if to check if anyone else is there, then steps aside. "Come in." The condo is sparsely decorated, nothing like the home we shared. It's impersonal, cold, a reflection of the distance that's grown between us. We sit in the small living room, and for a moment, neither of us speaks. The silence is heavy, charged with everything that's been left unsaid. "I need to know why," I finally say, my voice low. "Why you did it. Why you betrayed me." She looks down, avoiding my eyes. "It wasn't just one thing," she begins, her voice soft, almost resigned. "It was everything. Our marriage, my life. I felt trapped, like I was living a lie." Her words hit me hard, but I pushed down the anger. "A lie? Everything we had. Was that nothing to you?" She flinches at the edge in my voice, but doesn't shy away. "It wasn't nothing. I loved you, I really did. But I felt suffocated, like I was losing myself. And when Eric came along, it was like a breath of fresh air. Something different, something that reminded me of who I used to be." "Who you used to be," I repeat, the bitterness creeping into my tone. "You mean the person who lied and cheated behind my back?" She sighs, running a hand through her hair. "I know I hurt you, and I'm sorry, but I was hurting too. I just didn't know how to deal with it. I should have talked to you, should have tried to fix things, but instead I ran. I ran to him, to others, because I was too afraid to face the truth." "And what truth is that?" I asked, leaning forward, my heart pounding in my chest. "That I wasn't happy," she says, her voice breaking. "That our perfect life wasn't perfect at all. It was just a mask, something I wore because I thought it was what I was supposed to want. But it wasn't real." The words hang in the air between us, heavy with the weight of everything that's been lost. I stare at her, trying to see the woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew. But all I see is a stranger, someone who's been hiding behind a facade for far too long. "Why didn't you just leave?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Why did you stay and let it all fall apart like this?" "Because I was scared," she admits, tears welling in her eyes. "I was scared of being alone, scared of admitting that I'd made a mistake. It was easier to pretend, to lie to myself and to you, but I couldn't keep it up forever. Eventually it all came crashing down." I close my eyes, the pain of her words cutting deep. I've been angry for so long, but now, sitting here, all I feel is sadness. Sadness for the life we could have had, for the love that was lost. "There's more, isn't there?" I ask, opening my eyes to meet hers. "More than just Eric." She nods slowly. "There were others, before him, after him. I was searching for something, anything, to fill the void, but nothing did. It only made things worse. The confession feels like a final blow, but I don't react. I can't. I've already been through hell, and there's nothing left that can hurt me more than I've already been hurt. I just don't understand," I say, my voice raw. "Why did you stay with me if you were so unhappy? Why didn't you just end it?" "Because I didn't want to hurt you," she says, her voice cracking. "But I ended up doing that anyway, didn't I?" Her words are like a knife twisting in my chest. I stand up, unable to sit there any longer. I pace the room, trying to make sense of everything she's told me. But it's impossible. The woman I thought I loved, the life I thought we shared, It's all gone, reduced to nothing more than lies and deceit. What happens now? She asked quietly, her voice trembling. I stopped pacing, looking down at her. For the first time, I see her clearly, not as the woman I loved, but as the person she really is. Flawed, broken, just like me. I don't know, I admit, but I do know that I can't keep holding on to this. To you, it's killing me. She nods, wiping away a tear. I never meant to destroy you. But you did, I say bluntly. And now I have to figure out how to put the pieces back together. We sit in silence for a long time, the weight of everything we've said pressing down on us. There's no going back, no fixing what's been broken. But in that moment, I feel a strange sense of peace. I've finally heard the truth, and while it hurts, it also frees me. I can let go now. I can start to heal. I'm filing for divorce, I say, breaking the silence. We both need to move on. She nods, a sad smile on her face. It's for the best. I leave her condo without looking back. The finality of it all settles over me like a heavy blanket, but there's relief too. This chapter of my life is over, and while it's not the ending I wanted, it's the one I have to accept. In the weeks that follow, I focus on rebuilding my life. It's slow, painful work, but each day I feel a little stronger. I start therapy, something I never would have considered before, and it helps. I talk about the anger, the betrayal, and slowly, I begin to understand my own role in everything that happened. I wasn't perfect either. I missed the signs, ignored the problems, and let things fester until they exploded. I also start reconnecting with people I'd pushed away. Friends, family, colleagues. They welcome me back, but I can tell they're cautious, unsure of how to approach me after everything that's happened. I don't blame them. I'm still figuring out who I am now, what I want from life. One day, I run into Eric. It's unexpected, a chance encounter on the street. He looks surprised to see me, and there's a moment of tense silence between us. But I don't feel the anger anymore. I don't feel anything, really. We need to talk, he says, but I shake my head. No, we don't, I reply calmly. It's over. He looks at me, searching for something in my expression. But I don't give him anything. Whatever he has to say, I don't need to hear it. I've made peace with what happened, and I'm not going to let him or anyone else drag me back into that darkness. As I walk away, I feel a sense of closure. I've faced my demons, confronted the people who hurt me, and I've come out the other side. It's not perfect, and I'm still healing, but I'm moving forward. That's what matters. Months pass, and the divorce is finalized. Lana and I exchange a few polite words through our lawyers, but there's no need for anything more. We've both moved on in our own ways. I've started to rebuild my career, taking on smaller projects at first, then gradually working my way back up. It feels good to be creating again, to be focusing on something other than my pain. It's a slow process, but I'm patient. In the quiet moments when I'm alone in my new apartment, I think about the future. I'm not ready for a new relationship, not yet, but I'm open to the possibility. I've learned a lot from what happened, about myself, about trust, and I know that I'll be more careful next time, more aware, but for now, I'm content with where I am. I've survived the worst, and I've come out stronger. The scars are there, but they're healing, slowly but surely. And as I look out at the city from my window, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time. Hope. Hope for the future, for whatever comes next. I don't know where this new path will lead, but I'm ready to find out. I'm ready to live again. In the weeks after the final confrontation with Lana, I feel an emptiness I didn't expect. The anger, the obsession, the need for answers, they've all drained away, leaving a hollow space behind. I spend a lot of time alone reflecting on everything that happened, trying to make sense of the wreckage that was once my life. It's not easy. The pain is still there, like a dull ache that never quite fades. But there's something else now, a clarity, a realization that I can't go back to who I was. I've lost a lot, but I've also learned more about myself than I ever wanted to know. The man who trusted too easily, who believed in the perfect marriage, is gone. In his place is someone who's been through hell and come out the other side, scarred but stronger. I know now that I can't let the past define me, can't let it drag me down into the darkness again. It's time to move on. I start making changes, small at first. I redecorate my apartment, getting rid of anything that reminds me of Lana. It's a symbolic gesture, but it helps. I reconnect with friends, people I'd pushed away when I was consumed by the mess of my marriage. They're cautious at first, unsure of how to approach me after everything that's happened, but slowly they start to open up. It feels good to talk about something other than betrayal and pain, to focus on the future instead of the past. Work becomes a refuge. I throw myself into new projects, using the creative energy I once wasted on anger to build something real. The satisfaction of seeing a design come to life, of creating something beautiful out of nothing, is a reminder that I still have value, that I can still contribute to the world. It's not just about proving something to others, it's about proving it to myself. Therapy helps too. I resisted it at first, but now I see the value in talking through my emotions, in understanding the choices I made and the reasons behind them. I begin to see how my need for control, my obsession with keeping everything perfect, contributed to the breakdown of my marriage. It's not about blaming myself. Lana made her choices, and they were devastating, but it's about recognizing that I wasn't just a victim. I was a participant in the disintegration of our relationship, and understanding that is the first step toward healing. One day, out of the blue, I receive a message from someone unexpected. Mark, the man from Lana's past who I discovered during my investigation. He wants to meet, to talk. My first instinct is to ignore him, but something stops me. Maybe it's curiosity. Maybe it's the need for closure, but I agree to meet him. We sit in a quiet cafe, and I'm struck by how ordinary he looks. He's not the villain I imagine, just another man who got caught up in the whirlwind that was Lana. He tells me about their relationship, about how it ended, and about the person he knew her to be. His words don't shock me anymore. They just confirm what I've already come to accept. Lana was never the woman I thought she was. She was someone who needed to escape her own demons, and in the process, she dragged me down with her. You know, Mark says, sipping his coffee, I spent a long time wondering what went wrong. But in the end, I realized that it wasn't about me. It was about her. She was always searching for something, but I don't think she ever knew what it was. His words resonate with me. I've been searching too, searching for answers, for reasons, for some way to make sense of it all. But maybe, like Lana, I've been looking in the wrong places. Maybe it's time to stop searching and start living. As I walk away from that meeting, I feel a sense of peace I haven't known in a long time. The past is the past, and while it will always be a part of me, it doesn't have to define me. I'm ready to let it go, to leave behind the anger and the hurt, and to embrace whatever comes next. The months that follow are full of small victories. I finish a major project at work, one that earns me recognition I never thought I'd crave again. I reconnect with my family, mending relationships that had been strained by my obsession with Lana. I even start dating, cautiously at first, aware of the scars I carry, but also open to the possibility of finding love again. It's different this time. I'm different. I no longer look for perfection, no longer expect someone else to fill the void inside me. I know now that I have to be whole on my own, that no relationship can fix what's broken inside of me. But as I get to know this new woman, I find myself feeling something I thought I'd lost forever. Hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, there's a future out there for me, one that isn't defined by the mistakes of the past. The story of Lana and me is over. I've closed that chapter, and while it left its mark on me, it's not the end of my story. It's just a part of it, a part that shaped who I am today, but doesn't dictate who I'll be tomorrow. As I stand on the balcony of my apartment, looking out over the city, I feel the weight of the past lifting. The future is uncertain, full of challenges I can't yet see, but for the first time in a long time, I'm ready to face them. I'm ready to embrace whatever comes next, with all its imperfections and surprises. I don't know where this journey will take me, but I do know one thing. I'm not the man I was. I'm stronger, wiser, and finally I'm free. And as the sun sets, casting the city in a warm, golden light, I take a deep breath and step forward into the unknown, ready to see what tomorrow brings.